Before I start tonight's episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, I just want to take some time to mention the unfortunate passing of Darren Drazov, better known as us pro wrestling fans as Draws. Draws was a character in the WWF late 90s Attitude Era, and one of the things most remembered for is teaming with Prince Albert, and also in Beyond the Mat in the movie there was a part when they were going to bring him in as Puke, and Vince McMahon had him there in Titan Towers, and because at the time he said that he could make himself puke on command, and that's why that was going to be his gimmick. And Vince had a garbage can, and he wanted him to do it in front of him, since that's what they wanted his character to be his gimmick when they brought him on TV. And it's a famous part of the movie, and Vince is trying to get him to do it, and he screams at him that famous line, "He's gonna puke! He's gonna puke!" That famous Vince voice. I know I can't do it quite right, but... And his career, unfortunately, came to an end too soon after an unfortunate accident in the ring during a match with D'Lo Brown. I believe it was at a Smackdown taping, and taking a power bomb, and unfortunately got injured taking the bump and was paralyzed and was in a wheelchair. And also before that, he had the stint with LOD at one time, and most recently in the public eye, I guess you could say, that he was featured on an episode of Dark Side of the Ring in season 2, the Brawl for All episode. He was interviewed for that, and I kind of say he was a talented guy. I wouldn't say one of the real big main stars of the Attitude Era, but he was pretty talented. He had a good character, a good crazy look, and very unfortunate, only 54 years old, and gonna have the 10 bell salute, and then a moment of silence, and then I'll start tonight's episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Tonight, episode 436, going to be talking about tonight's Money in the Bank Go Home episode of WWE Friday Night Smackdown on Fox, and AEW Rampage on TNT. Right here, right now, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Hey, Wrestling Fanatics. Welcome to episode 436 of 360 Wrestling Fanatic on this Friday night as we get it ready for another pretty big pro wrestling weekend. Just a reminder, in case you missed it, had a little bit of a longer episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans this morning than normal. I was talking about the Impact Wrestling Down Under Tour, the first show that took place this morning here in Michigan. It started at 5 a.m., the same time that day 2 of it will be starting tomorrow morning, in just a little bit actually, not too far from now. And gonna do the same thing on tomorrow's episode of GMWF. Gonna recap that show and then also try to get in a preview of Money in the Bank as well. But that will take place tomorrow morning on the Saturday episode of GMWF. But that is tomorrow morning. And right now, tonight, on 360 Wrestling Fanatic, gonna start off talking about tonight's WWE Friday Night Smackdown, which was the go-home Smackdown before tomorrow's Money in the Bank. And it was a taped show tonight from the site of Money in the Bank in London, England, at the O2 Arena. And had a special pay-per-view set tonight, not the regular TV set, and which is smaller, just has a small screen for the entrance, which I'm sure the setup for that was so they could have more seats available and sell more tickets. And our commentators tonight, Michael Cole and Wade Barrett. And like I said, I'll have to be up again in just a little bit for the Impact Down Under Tour, so gonna try to go quickly. The WWE Undisputed Tag Team Championships are on the line. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens taking on Pretty Deadly, Elton Prince and Kit Wilson. Pretty good match here. And it is Zayn and Owens retaining. Pretty good opener, I thought. I'm not too surprised that WWE didn't pull the trigger just yet, putting the titles on Pretty Deadly. I'm sure that one day I will not be surprised at all if we do see them hold the titles. I just think that it's still a little too soon to put the straps on them, but definitely wouldn't be surprised one day if we see Pretty Deadly as tag team champions. Who knows if they ever decide to split up the titles again between Raw and Smackdown. And then I think there might be even a better chance that we could see them with tag team titles. Also, Austin Theory defeated Ridge Holland. Bayley, along with Io Sky, defeated Shotzi Blackheart to qualify for the women's Money in the Bank match tomorrow night. And once again, in England, and the only bad thing about the crowd there in England is they sing that annoying Bayley song and then get stuck in people's heads after. Now, I know it's good to have a hot and lively crowd for a pro wrestling show, of course, but I think that's the one problem with the England crowds. is they're a little too loud, and some of the, like, they sing silly songs like that and things, and that's the only bad thing about the crowds there in England. And so Bayley gets the victory there, and then after, Bayley and Io attack Shotzi in the back, give her a suplex onto a table, and then they cut some of her hair. So I guess that feud between Damage Control and Shotzi Blackheart will continue, or at least it looks like it will anyway. And then we have Logan Paul out to cut a promo, and then LA Knight comes out, and the other superstars that will be competing in the men's Money in the Bank match follow out to the ring, and this leads to a match. Butch taking on LA Knight and Santos Escobar, triple threat. Butch getting the win. Not too surprising here, since they are in England. They put the former Pete Dunne over, and I would really like to see Butch get the Money in the Bank briefcase, but I really don't see that happening. I'll talk more about the men's Money in the Bank match if I can do the Money in the Bank preview tomorrow morning on GMWF. I'll give my pick then. And the WWE Women's Championship, Asuka defending against Charlotte Flair. This match ends in a no contest when Bianca Belair gets involved, pulling Asuka out and then attacking her, and then Charlotte gets into it. Bianca pulls the cover off the announce desk, and it's Asuka with the KOD on the desk. And then right after, she hits Charlotte onto Asuka onto the announce desk. And next up, we have the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and the Wise Man Paul Heyman. Roman cuts a promo, starts off with the usual London, acknowledge me. And then the Usos come out, which we have a bit of a promo exchange here. And then as they call it, the Bloodline Civil War starts early tonight, and security comes out, tries to break it up, but it all breaks loose here in the final segment of this week's Friday Night Smackdown. And at this time, Smackdown goes off the air. So overall, I thought this was an okay go-home episode from London. I don't know if I would say it was real great, but it was good though. Definitely, I wouldn't say it was a bad episode at all. But it was alright, and I am looking forward to Money in the Bank tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, here in Michigan, and should be a good show, or at least I hope so anyway. And now let's go over to TNT for AEW Rampage, which was taped Wednesday night from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And we start things off with the Ring of Honor World Champion Claudio Castagnoli taking on Commander with Alex Hernandez in his corner. Really good match between these two. I thought these two worked really well together. Had a great opening match to start off Rampage. And I know I'm a little late saying this, I forgot. Commentators, Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, and Taz, I believe, was on the call. And Claudio gets the win as Commander comes off the top rope, gets him with an uppercut, knocks him out. Referee stops the match. And your winner, Claudio Castagnoli. Really good match here, once again. And next up, Shawn Spears defeating the Blade. And we have QT Marshall, and Johnny TV with Harley Cameron taking on Matt Hardy and Brother Zay, Isaiah Cassidy. Okay, tag team match here. Johnny TV pins Brother Zay to get the win. And in the main event of Rampage this week, to preview it, we get a video package that's voiced over by Mark Henry. And as he says, it's time for the main event. Taya Valkyrie taking on Hikaru Shida, which these two have a pretty fun match. Definitely not a bad main event on Rampage this week. Shida getting the win with a quick roll-up, pinning Taya Valkyrie. Big fan of both of these, Valkyrie and Shida, and pretty good episode of Rampage this week. So we had some good pro wrestling on this Friday night. And then on to tomorrow now. Once again, tomorrow morning, 5 a.m., Impact Wrestling Down Under Tour Night 2. Here in Michigan starts at 5 a.m. And like I said, like I did this morning, I probably will be doing GMWF a little earlier than normal. Not sure what time exactly, but probably sometime after the show is over. I'll recap the Down Under tour, and then also, if I have a chance, I'll preview tomorrow's Money in the Bank as well. And then after Money in the Bank, of course, we have AEW Collision. And like I said before, instead of doing two separate podcasts, I'm planning on, after Collision tomorrow, just doing one episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic and recap both Money in the Bank and Saturday Collision, which also I have seen on YouTube for WWE's channel that I'm guessing Money in the Bank is going to be about 4 hours, because I seen where they've scheduled the Money in the Bank press conference to start at 7 p.m. But you never know. Like they always say in pro wrestling, cards subject to change. But as of right now on WWE's YouTube, the press conference is set to start at 7 p.m. So that does sound about right. I would probably expect Money in the Bank to be around in the neighborhood of about 4 hours. And then, not sure how long the press conference is going to be, so can watch that. And then, I'm sure won't be too much time in between that and Collision. So that is our Saturday lineup. Pretty busy day tomorrow for us pro wrestling fans. Hopefully everybody will be watching everything like I will be, starting at 5 a.m. in the morning with Impact Wrestling's Down Under tour. And don't have any news to talk about right now, so gonna wrap up the podcast. And once again, everything I just mentioned for tomorrow, stay tuned. Starting with Good Morning Wrestling Fans and then 360 Wrestling Fanatic later tomorrow night. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, anything, you can leave your feedback on tonight's Friday Night Smackdown and Rampage. Your predictions, last minute predictions for Money in the Bank tomorrow. And if you have a product or a business, anything you want to advertise right here on 360 Wrestling Podcast, you can. And hope we can work something out. I'll try to do a good ad read. I don't know if it'll be as good as Conrad Thompson or any of his co-hosts. I'll definitely try to make it good and not mess up too badly. But you can email me 360wrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. Until tomorrow, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.